Hey guys, welcome to the Reseller Room podcast. We're excited for today's episode. I'm here with Chase and Alex, and this is a podcast designed to help you build or refine your reselling business.
Yes, and today we're talking about a controversial reselling topic that is the reason a lot of resellers quit, and that is fees.
What are they? How do you plan for them? And are they really as bad as everyone says?
Let's get into it. All right, so a little icebreaker before we get started. I'm curious, Chase. So obviously you've been selling for a long time. Back when you first started your business, I would love to know, like, what was it that you focused on selling? How much did you sell? Did you start really big, really fast, or what was that like at the beginning of your reselling journey?
Well, I was 8 when I started, so it wasn't very big.
Neither were you.
No, I didn't break 100 pounds until junior year. Fun fact about myself. Or 5 foot. Junior year. Anyways.
Now he's 6'7".
Yeah, I know. Crazy.
6'7".
It's crutches for a while.
It was a crazy junior summer. I grew 6 inches that summer. Anyways, the first thing that I usually sold was on eBay, and that was like sports cards. I was obsessed with sports cards as a kid, collected them. My dad was into them. Actually inherited his collection. He passed away when I was 7. So part of it was building my collection, selling some of the stuff I didn't care about, and that's kind of how I got into eBay. So loved eBay. It's definitely the lowest barrier to entry for starting a business. Mm-hmm. So that's why I started there, and like the ability to do that and to go to garage sales with Granny to get inventory, and like it just changed the trajectory of my life as far as my occupation goes. And I love eBay to this day.
That's awesome. Can you remember the very first thing you ever sold, or maybe the first thing you bought to sell?
Well, the first thing I ever sold was a 1955 Topps All-American Jim Thorpe football card. Very beat up, terrible condition.
Nice.
So I was not interested in it as a kid. I think it went for like $50.
Wonder how much that's worth today.
I think it's like
probably
a little more. I think it's a little more. Okay. Yeah. That was about 22 years ago, something like that. But I think it's worth more today.
Well, today we're talking about fees, and anytime you talk about eBay or Amazon or just talk about reselling in general, one of the first things that you'll hear about complained about or people get frustrated about is this idea of fees. So why is it that you think that so many people get frustrated with fees?
Well, a lot of people call it fee-bay. I don't know. What do you think, El Pal?
I think it's kind of like, it's basically taxes upon taxes. Like, it's just anytime you're taking money away from someone, they feel like they're owed it. And I can definitely feel that.
Mm-hmm. It hurts. I mean, it's like, it's a big percentage of the sale that's going to the platform.
Yeah.
And if you dwell on that and sit in that, like, and imagine what it would be like if you didn't have to pay the fees or whatever, like it hurts. It's just like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have it like when they first start out, they don't realize about fees. So when they see those sales and then they see what they actually make, that first feeling like carries them throughout the reselling journey of fees, because they expected $100 and they got 75.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what the heck?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's I feel like a lot of platforms have a lot of different ways of fees too. Like some of them put more fees on the buyer, some of them put more on the seller. Like if you were to list off a few platforms, what do you think is the best platform for fees? Which one do you think is kind of the most confusing for fees?
Yeah, so we'll list off like 4 or 5. So eBay is okay for fees. I would say in general you can expect 13 to 15%. And then, you got to pay your shipping as well. So that's actually, people think that's the highest. The highest by far is Amazon FBA that I know of, which on the games that we sell, FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. So you are paying an extra fee because you ship the games to the warehouses, they fulfill them, and ship them to the
handling
customer.
all the shipping, all the processing,
customer service. Yeah.
Yep. So it's Amazon Prime items. I think it's about 40% of Amazon's overall revenue is from third-party sellers.
Wow.
But you got to pay for that. It's about 31.5% on average for a video game that sells on Amazon for us. And that's thousands of games a month. and that's our average. Consoles, it's a little less, maybe 15%, and then accessories, it's 30%. Controllers, stuff like that. So fees are huge on Amazon. So if you're an eBay seller complaining about fees, just remember about Amazon.
Yes.
But the benefit is a lot of times you can get a premium for your items because customers on Amazon are willing to pay a premium for the premium service, guaranteed shipping. People are often kind of scared of buying from a random eBay seller. I'll get texts all the time like, should I buy this? Is this a scam? Is this a real seller? I'm like, well, yeah, they got it. So Amazon is just, people are willing to pay for that security and guaranteed service and return policy and all that.
There's just a trust equity with Amazon where people, I mean, your average, even grandma and grandpa can go on Amazon and click buy and feel like a sense of like, this is actually going to happen, where eBay less so now, but eBay or even like a Mercari kind of still have this veil of like, is this product real? Is this person real? Even though they probably carry the same guarantees in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways.
Amazon just has marketed that really well.
Yeah, and it is easier, simpler, quicker, better. For sure. And then Mercari is now back to 10% is what the seller pays, and I think it's like 3.6% that the buyer pays additionally. A lot of sellers like that. We had Jesse on not too long ago, who was a Mercari seller full time, selling toys, and he loves knowing that if he lists an item for $100, he's getting 90. Yeah. You can do the math. It's simple. Whatnot, which we saw a lot on, I think it's 10.9%, 11%, which is just on the seller. And then we always do buyer pay shipping, but Whatnot's great with bundling shipping, so usually buyers really like. If they buy 3 or more items, they're getting an amazing shipping deal. And then I think like Encore, new platform, they're doing 10%. Like 10% is kind of like the, look at us, we have low fees because it's less than eBay and obviously less than Amazon. And I do like that about these platforms.
Yeah. Competition is kind of bringing a little bit more into the market there.
Yeah, for sure.
Alex, how when you guys are looking at buying things, obviously you guys are buying things to sell, like how do you budget in fees into your guys' business process? Because obviously like 30% on Amazon FBA, if you're a new reseller, you're not thinking about that, that will hit you like a freight truck. Like that's a lot. I mean, that's a huge chunk of your profits that you're banking on. Right. So how do you guys kind of profit and think about that?
Well, especially now with our new buy list, when we're putting what prices we can pay, we're always factoring in what we make after fees. So we know exactly what we can pay for. We know a rough estimate of what Amazon's going to charge us in fees. And I mean, we just know that an item selling for $100 does not mean $100. We know we probably paid $50 to $60 for it. We know it's probably going to be 15 to 20% on fees. And it's just, I mean, it's ingrained at this point. Like it's just easy to know that that's what it's going to be, what we take home.
Yeah. And I remember, buying collections, video game collections, like let's say 10 years ago. My method when I was pretty much selling on eBay primarily, a little bit Amazon, but I would, like for a local seller, that I do a lot of deals with, they know that I'm paying 50% of the after fees value. So if the collection price charted, say at $3,000, then you're paying $2,550, I think. So I'm factoring out 15. You're paying half of $2,550, so you're paying $1,275 or whatever that is. I'm factoring out 15% for fees from that top line of $3,000 because the reality is, if you sell it for the 100% value, $3,000, you're netting 15% less of that, and that's also not factoring out like, okay, shipping or games under $10. If something sells for $8 free shipping, you're netting $2. So that's more than 15% fees. So it's still actually, in those cases, like paying 50% is too much because you're objectively losing money.
You're losing money with your time, yeah.
So we actually have built into like our collection offers, like if the item is under $10, our offer is very low.
Yeah.
But in reality, our offer is not bad. So if you're paying,
just because the fixed cost of that item will be so high once you get shipping and labor and all those things. Yeah.
So if it price charts at $8, reality is it's $1 to $2 what you would net, unless you're like a game store, which can be an advantage.
Yeah.
You don't have the fees. You can actually get $8 or whatever, but you do have different costs. The moral of the story with this, I think, is like you got to find ways to build it into your offer. Acknowledge that anywhere that you sell something, there's fees.
Anywhere.
It just looks different. And for a game store, it's overhead, it's rent, it's employee costs, and for a business that's online, like it's fees, and then it can also still be overhead and employee costs too, depending on how much you want to scale it.
So why that was actually kind of leads into one of the things I was going to ask is like, so with all these fees that exist out there, and you've got processing fees and shipping fees and the listing fees and all these different things, and you can put premiums like on your eBay listing, you can do a 1% or a 2% kind of promotions to get those seen. Why do online at all? Like, why not just do Facebook Marketplace? Why not just do local mom and pop stores? Like, why use the online when so much of it is going to be eaten up in fees?
I look at it as, let's just take the word fee out of it. You're paying for a service. You're paying for the market, really. I mean, the reason that fees are so high in Amazon is they're marketing to the world your product, and eBay, contrary to popular belief, has 100 million users. So the user market is still massive on eBay, and that's why you're paying those fees. You're basically paying for marketing. Is how I look at it. Like, if you're on a game store, yes, you don't get fees, but you're getting tens of millions, hundreds of millions less people seeing your item. So that's why you probably aren't going to sell things as high or as fast, because you're getting, a millionth of the people coming in. So that's how I look at it. I just take the word fee out of it. You're paying for a product. You're paying for a service. Do you have any other thoughts?
I agree. I just Googled how many users. eBay, 132 million. Which is
versus how much you have in maybe your local Facebook Marketplace, a couple thousand.
Right. Right. And it's a lot of crazies on Facebook. And then Amazon says more than 310 million, 80% of those in the United States. And Amazon also has 200 million paying Prime members.
Wow. So
FBA seller, you're working with 200 million Prime members versus, I mean, it's just like, it is so worth it. It is really hard to drive business to your own website, to your own store, and you have to pay for it. You look at like DK Oldies, they're an example of somebody who's really good at driving people to their website. But if you type in DK Oldies or N64 or whatever on Google and they're coming up, usually it says sponsored. Right. So they're
paying for that.
They're paying for it, and they do charge a lot on stuff. But they have fees in a completely different way. So the reality is, it is worth paying for the service.
I agree.
That's where our mindset is. If we're selling something for $20 on a platform, we know on Amazon we're getting about 12. We know on eBay we're getting 17, 16. Whatnot, we're getting 18, 17. So it's like, you just have to know that $20 isn't $20. Like, what does it mean on these different platforms, and how do we operate within that?
Well, it seems like there's a perspective shift for you guys. Like, you're not seeing it as a fee that's being taken away from you. It's a service that you're paying for. Like, you're 100%. Getting a customer base. You're getting, like, because everything, it's all supply demand.
And there may be a demand for things, but if they don't have a way to get to it, then what good is that demand? Like, they'll go to the passively least resistance. That's why Amazon is so big, is because you can Amazon search, one click, and it's done. Like, I don't have to do a bunch of things. I don't have to go to this store, hope they have it in the right condition that I want it. I can just go boom, 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 and I can buy it within 60 seconds, and it can be at my door within 24 hours. Right. Like, there's just that convenience factor, which is, I feel like that's even a part of the ecosystem of reselling in general. Is it's a service that resellers are providing to the collector, to the person that's wanting it. Because, I mean, you could spend a full summer going out garage sailing and garage sale after garage sale, hour after hour, and invest 60, 70 hours during a summer to build up a collection, and you'd probably do pretty well. You probably get pretty good prices. Or if you take that time and just say, hey, this time is worth something to me, and I can go online or work out on a whatnot or find a good deal on an eBay or whatever it is, there's a trade-off there. And I feel like that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys see that in your guys' customer base? Like, do you see more and more people shifting towards the online experience just because of the time factor of it?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's just the reality for a lot of people. They have regular jobs. Yeah. They can't go to garage sales for a living. That sucks, man. I love garage sales, but yeah, like, I think the reality for most people is, like, we can't justify the amount of time it would take to go to garage sales and all this to be able to get the collection or whatever. So yeah, I mean, they're willing to pay for that. And Whatnot's great because it is kind of also like you're part of a community.
Yeah.
Right.
In our case, like we have an amazing community. Our auction yesterday, we had sponsored giveaways, which people literally buying like a $15, $20 Switch game to give away to the chat. That happened 20 times
It's incredible.
in a random Thursday afternoon.
Just from the community.
Just from the community.
Yeah.
So like being a part of that is, for me, it's like inspiring the radical generosity that the community has and just the fun of it. And I think people love like just being a part of that community. So Whatnot provides that, which is why we really like it still. So.
And a lot of that Whatnot audience is coming from the Discord that you guys have, where you have a lot of different, whether it's collectors or resellers. Just talk a little bit about the Discord and who's a part of that, what that looks like, and if someone is listening that might be interested in joining a community like that can help find some good deals, can help grow their reselling business. What does that Discord look like?
Yeah, so it is primarily a resellers focused Discord. A lot of video game sellers in there, video game store owners. Me, El Pal, Sky Guy, Matt, very, very available in there. We do live calls about once every other week, but there's just a lot of channels and things and chatter about reselling. There's Amazon beginners chats. There's Amazon experts chats. There's eBay stuff. It's a lot focused on helping people grow their businesses, and that community has been like really awesome. We've garnered some great relationships and seen a lot of really cool success stories come from it. So
I would be willing to say that if you're a reseller and you have a question about reselling, I don't care what it is, it will be able to be answered in the Discord. Like there's just so many, tens of millions of dollars in sellers to $1,000 sellers, like everything in between, game store owners, Amazon sellers, eBay sellers, Facebook marketplace sellers. Like I don't think there's a question that you could ask about reselling that can't be answered in our Discord.
Yeah. One of the things I've seen Austin there several times is people give all sorts of answers, which is really helpful, is understanding and knowing what items to list on what platforms, and fees obviously play a part of that. So when you're looking at, obviously you guys specialize in video games, you guys specialize in media, collectibles, even getting into some like trains and some older collectibles and toys and stuff like that. How do you guys know what platform to list various items on, and what role do fees have to play in that?
If it moves extremely fast, it changes things. Like we're okay with making a little less margins if we can get it out extremely quickly.
Okay.
Like Wii Sports, for instance, sells, 50 copies a day on Amazon. Fees are really high, but we're okay with that because it would be much slower to move anywhere else. There's things that are toss-ups a lot of the time. Like it's decently close to price charting value, so we'll just throw it up on Whatnot. It doesn't sell that fast on Amazon. It's not worth it. We'd rather get the cash flow back to sell other things. So if it's close, we usually go Whatnot because the fees are less. But if it's extremely fast selling stuff, we usually go Amazon.
Yeah, those are our primary two ways of selling right now. We still sell, like when we got a radio, old radio collection, we're selling that on eBay. We're not selling that on Whatnot. No, but our audience doesn't care. They want video games. And then additionally, another thing is like with what you're saying with like Switch games, we're getting new Switch games in very frequently now as well through our buy list. And like the margins are tight no matter where we sell, but like Amazon fees are much higher than Whatnot. So on Whatnot, we're pretty consistently getting close to what we would get on Amazon just because there's no disparity in price. So if you sell it for $45 on Amazon, you're netting $33, $34. If you sell it for $45 on Whatnot, you're netting $39, $30 or $40. So that's like obviously we're going Whatnot, and people love Switch stuff. That's the other thing. Like everybody's like, yes, we want Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild and all these great games. So there's a lot of factors like making sure it's what people want. So we don't want to sell stuff that people don't want, especially on Whatnot. We don't care as much on Amazon because there's not like a community. We'll sell it if the customer are there buying it.
Plus, we could get a Switch game in today and sell it today. Versus we send out to Amazon, it's probably not going to sell for like 3 weeks to a month.
Yeah, because you got to ship it out, processing time of receiving, checking in, and all that. So, I mean, that's definitely a factor there as well.
Yeah, even outside of all these platforms of the fees, is like speed is a huge part of it too. Like Whatnot, you guys could log into Whatnot and sell something today and have the money by the end of the week. Where like on Amazon, you're gonna package it, list it, send it. It's gonna take a week or two to process, and then it's gonna get listed. Now, granted, on Amazon, once it gets listed, if you have the right pricing and the right feedback, it can go pretty quick.
Yeah.
But time is still a factor. Like time is not free. If you guys you're paying, like for you have employees and overhead costs and electric bills and internet bills and all these things that are also costs that are hidden inside a business. And if you can sell something quickly and get cash flow, it seems like that's a win.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we preach diversity here.
Yeah.
Because we can go heavy on Amazon, but if we're like recently, we just bought a ton of collections and we were needing cash flow. So we've been doing a lot more Whatnot because that cash flow, we can get it within a week versus Amazon, we could have to wait a month to get any of that cash. And then eBay for rarer items that might not go as well on Whatnot, can't go on eBay or can't go on Amazon. We can put them on eBay. So that's why we preach diversification as much as possible.
So we had a question from the Discord, which is somewhat related. This is from Alex in the Discord, different Alex. As a reseller grows from a side hustle to a more robust operation, which hidden costs or fees tend to increase disproportionately? Fees don't increase, right? It's a flat percentage that stays the same no matter how big you are. But the costs that increase disproportionately, from my perspective, started in a 2-bedroom apartment with the 100 square feet in the second bedroom for my entire business in college, and then went to a one bedroom in a basement with a little bit of a closet for storage, right?
Very small closet.
Very small closet, very tight, and still me. And then, Alpal actually was the first one to come in and help list on eBay a little bit.
Yeah.
One day a week for like 2 months, 3 months. And then Brother Dave came on and helped with editing, eBay, and everything. The biggest cost increase has been just, payroll, right? That's a huge one. As we scale and volume increases, the margin tends to decrease. The ultimate goal for me, obviously, is that profit dollars still increase, or if profit dollars for the business don't increase, at least the payroll increases, and you guys are making more money. So I guess that's like the biggest thing. And then like you have to be aware of taxes. If you're a really small side hustle, you might not even get 1099s, depending on if you cross that threshold or not. But as you move up in income, like the taxes can punch you in the gut.
When you're building because I've gotten to see you kind of build it from a one-man operation to obviously what you have now. Part of your job as the business owner, and for those that are listening, as they're building and scaling their business, even the decision to go from part-time to full-time, there's a risk associated with that. With bringing on employees, there's a risk when building. You have a kind of a barn area here where you have storage, you have workspace, you have the studio space that we're in right now. How do you as a business owner balance those risks with needing to scale and grow your business?
That's a good question. I think I have a lower risk tolerance, so I'm not making very many risky plays very often. So I've always moved at the speed of cash. So that's one thing. If I don't have the cash, I'm not doing it. That's like a risk that I'm just not willing to take. Like going in debt and having all that is beyond my risk tolerance. And then as far as like scaling goes and taking those plays, like I always started very slow when I'm doing something new. I don't know if that's the right or wrong answer. For me, it's ended up being right. But it might be different for you. But like Brother Dave, it was like, all right, let's just start off slow and move this up a little bit. And then things start to grow and it just starts to make a whole lot of sense. And even before hiring him, it was a very educated guess. I'm like, I've got this death pile of like amazing stuff. I need help.
Yeah.
I can see there's clear opportunity. Their return on investment is very evident. And then it's like, first time I got an Echo Auto Smart machine, that's a big risk, that's $3,000. And I didn't do it until I had 500 discs to clean that I knew I could sell in 2 weeks and get the money back, you know? So I think it's always like being willing to make very educated guesses. We have a lot of people who say, hey, I want to start YouTube. What do I pay an editor? It's like, you don't have any videos and you want to get an editor. I'm like,
Just get videos out there.
just put some videos out there, prove that you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, our early videos were edited by me. I'm not an editor. All right.
As we go back and you watch the earlier videos, don't tell it
Edit, it's different. But hey, Thane was good. Brother Dave was good on camera, and we had fun at garage sales. And like, I still enjoy watching the videos because it's like as friends having a great time garage selling. But like the editing level has changed dramatically because I'm not doing it anymore. But I didn't like ever consider hiring an editor until it made sense to do so. So,
Well, I think in any part of business, there can be this like getting started paralysis that people have because they'll look at things like the work, the fees, or they'll get discouraged. The first, like you said earlier in the episode, like you said, well, they'll sell that thing for $100 and then all of a sudden only $68 or $72 hits their bank account, and they get that discouragement where so much of building a business is just consistency and just time after time after time after time of responsibly building something, not trying to jump ahead of where you're at, not trying to be something that your business isn't. I feel like so many, in whether it's content, reselling, or any business, people will want to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. And usually it's one step at a time. I mean, when you first brought on your first employee, I mean, your YouTube channel was what, 20,000 subscribers?
yeah, probably somewhere around there.
And it's a slow build from there. And then obviously it's grown massively in the past couple of years, which is awesome. But you have to get past the point of saying like, oh, well, what if, you just have to start and do the thing, but factor in the costs that go into it. Like you can't just go in blind. And that's what I'm hoping that this podcast helps people get educated and understand like, hey, when you want to go to Amazon, you can make money on Amazon, but you are going to have 30% of fees on stuff, and you just have to factor that in.
Absolutely. Yeah, the shift of mindset is huge. And there is something to say about keeping things simple if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you just want yourself, if you want to build a side hustle to the point where it can become a real part-time thing, maybe even a full-time thing, I think that's fantastic. And I always said I would never hire anybody, but here we are.
And then you hired Wayne. You said, I'm never hiring another.
I hired like all my best friends, but that's worked out pretty well as far as that goes. But like, I think it's really cool to be able to have a thriving business that serves a purpose by yourself, you know, and it's less risky, it's less, you know, intense to manage, all that kind of stuff. So you just got to do whatever works for you and enjoy it, you know.
So when you say keeping it simple in your business, especially when you're getting started, are there things, whether it was in the past in your business or even right now, that you guys have bought or have things that you don't specialize in? What do you do with those items? Like maybe you bought a big collection of stuff and there's some stuff in the collection that you have and it's right in your wheelhouse, but then there's other things that aren't. What do you guys do with those items?
Well, I think one of the biggest changes we made is we actually have someone who consigns for us. Like when we did the big hobby shop buy, there's a lot of stuff that made sense for us, but a lot of stuff, it just got overwhelming to do the research and all that, trying to keep up our game side of the business, which is obviously the big part of our business. So we just contacted him. We're like, hey, would you just sell this for us and, you know, split the profits? And that's been huge for us to get stuff out. And we still make money, but we understand that some stuff we just have to be okay with the lesser margins. And it's kind of weird because we buy from someone to resell, but then we resell it to a reseller to sell. So it just shows that there's always room to be a middleman in some areas and understand where you just need to not cut your losses, but be okay with lesser margins so you can keep the cash flow going.
Yeah, what would you guys say with people that saying you're leaving money on the table? You could take the time to list that. You could take the time to put that up on eBay and realize those profit dollars yourself. Like, what would you say to those people that saying you're losing profits there? You're missing opportunity.
opportunity cost is the main answer to that. There was a time in my business not very long ago where we sold all of that ourselves, where I sold all of that myself in the beginning. I've sold everything, guys. I have sold everything on eBay. Coins, Monster High dolls, trains, planes, games. I mean, I don't know, just everything. I've sold it all. And it sometimes still pains me to, it's all just still so cool to me. And I want to sell it myself. But there's limited time in a day. We have priorities of working 40 to 45 hours a week and having our family and our faith be our main priorities. So like we got to partner with other people because this other part of our business has taken off to where it wasn't before, but like video games and things are our primary focus. So if it's not part of the primary focus, we are partnering. And the other thing to note is this individual that consigns on eBay for us is full-time. He said that the inventory that he gets from us has enabled him to like really reduce his time of sourcing and focus on selling and like increase overall profit. So it's just been a win-win partnership as far as that is concerned. So yeah, that's been awesome.
Which kind of to throw in the fees kind of idea, he's willing to maybe make less than he would normally going out sourcing because he's paying for us to source for him. Yeah. So he's
not paying until after it's sold. So there's no upfront cost.
So there's no upfront cost too. So he's okay with that fee because of all the benefits that are added to him.
And we would lose him if we sent him crap. I'm just going to say that.
Yes.
We're sending him good stuff.
Yes, we send him a mixture. He's like, hey, we understand there's some bad stuff in here, but here's this good stuff.
Like it for next time, right? Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things that you commonly say in your videos is profit dollars per hour matters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and for him, that time that he's saving, not sourcing, is time that he can spend, which, okay, so he may get a slightly smaller margin himself because he's buying from you and not from a garage or whatever that looks like. But the amount of time that he's saving, so his 40-hour work week, his profits actually go up, even though his margins on every single item might go down a little bit. And that's kind of the long game.
Spend time selling.
Yeah.
Reduce sourcing time. That's huge. And on the reverse side of that, you know, where we specialize and where we can like maximize our dollars, we want to partner on the other way. So like that's where our buy list has come in, our website, because we have, you know, it's like 1,500 items that we have a business that we can get a good premium on stuff. So therefore we can pay up and partner with people. I just, before this recording, talked to a video game store owner in New York. And he's like, dude, I'm getting in so much stuff every day. The foot traffic is insane. I've got a storage unit that's super expensive. I have so much stuff on your list, and I'm profiting very well on all of it. And he's like, how much can I send to you? I'm like, dude, the condition of his first batch was great. I'm like, if it's all like that, bring it on. Like, send away. So like stuff like that where we can be kind of the partner on both ends is really, it's been a really cool, this is kind of a last year development where we really focused on that. And it's been cool to see what that can do.
All right, so one final question for you guys. Obviously, there's more and more platforms coming online every day, and every single one of them has their own unique fee structure, whether you're looking at these more traditional auction sites, which is a shared fee structure, or someone the buyer, someone the seller. You're looking at eBay, Amazon, Encore, whatnot. All of these just seem to be popping up. What do you guys think the future is of online selling? What do you guys think the future is of fees? Are we going to see fees continue to climb, or is competition going to bring fees down? What do you guys see happening in your crystal reselling ball of what fees will look like, let's say 10, even 15 years from now?
Go ahead. I'm wondering if you're thinking the same thing I am, but go ahead.
I mean, I don't think it's going to get lower. I think the market is going to continue to grow for online selling. Therefore, online platforms understand that and know that they can charge more for their platform. So I don't think
they're here to stay.
Yeah.
That's what I think too. I think if a platform comes on and they're like, we're charging 3% fees, they're probably not getting many customers to the platform, and they're probably not doing a good job. They literally can't afford it.
Yeah.
Right. They can't afford to have the staff and everything to. So yeah, it's like, I think they're here to stay. I think the fees for these platforms, bring in hundreds of millions of customers, even tens of millions, whatever it is, are very worth it. So
Like even Whatnot, I expect fees to go up. I think the reason fees are so low is because they want sellers on the platform. Yeah. Like Encore started up, their fees are low because they want sellers on the platform versus Amazon. Amazon knows they're going to get sellers, like no matter what their fees are. So they don't really care as much for that. So I think as Whatnot continues to grow their seller base, fees are going to increase.
Go up a little bit. Yeah.
Well, and that's as value goes up, as customer base goes up. I think it's been the most valuable thing that we've talked about here today is that you guys pointing out that fees are really what you're doing is you're paying for a service. You're paying for a customer base. Because yes, you could go on Facebook Marketplace and have 0% fees or whatever it is, or you can go on these platforms that might be at 3% or 4% just starting off, but you're not getting the same level of service and marketing and publicity that you're getting on some of these other platforms that are higher fees. And therefore, when you have more people on a platform, prices will also naturally can climb just because there's more competition for those items. And it's a service you pay for, and I don't see it as an evil thing in the business. It's just a cost of doing business.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, hey guys, thank you for joining us today. We hope that this podcast was helpful for you. We want to continue making these. If you have any ideas of things that you would like to see discussed on the podcast, put them in the comments below. We'd love to hear your ideas, any comments you have of ways we can improve it. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time on the Reseller Room.
Bar'll do.
See ya.
Peace.